Hey, it's Nicola back here again from Conscious Crypto Traders. We're gearing up to start back into our daily technical analysis, mindset, and all the good astrology, numerology that you love about our channel so that we can help you trade consciously. And I am joined today with LIZA Spiridon, who was one of the experts who spoke at the Conscious Crypto Traders big event that we had a couple of years ago, along with Crypto, Da Vinci J15. LIZA, hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Nicola?
I'm doing good, and I'm really excited about where we're at with Bitcoin. I'm going to go over to the charts in a minute, but before I do, why don't you tell us why 7 is really important for July? Is what we're going to be discussing is what dates and numbers do we need to be aware of for Bitcoin and its price action for the month of July?
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying that 2023 is a 7 universal year. In numerology, there are universal years every year, and this one happens to be a 7. We find that out from adding up all the numbers in the current year, 2 plus 2 plus 3. And 7 in numerology has to do with introspection. It has to do with going inward. Introspection, not just on a collective level, since it's a universal number, but on an individual level. So you may have been noticing up until now that you want to have a little more quiet time, a little more alone time, a little more what else is out there. Maybe going on retreats, whether they're solo or in groups, exploring something, studying something new. It's a really inquisitive number too. I call it the spiritual inquisitor slash philosopher kind of number. And it really encourages us to question why we are here, what we're here to do, and what we're meant to do, not just now, but in the future, and what we've done leading up to now in this lifetime. So July is the 7th month of the year. So you also have another 7 energy in addition to the 7 universal year. The 7 in this month, there's actually 3 significant dates, which are triple sevens.
Which we're
And
going to talk about when we get over to
right.
the charts, yeah.
So we'll talk about that, but it is a very potent month. I would have to say this is one of the 3 most potent months of the year.
Yeah, and let's go over to the charts and see what's going on there. I would say too, LIZA, before I do that, that being an internal year, it's Chinese year of the rabbit, a really good time to really think about why you're in crypto and what you want to do, what your goals are and what you want going forward, because we're in a transitioning market. We're getting ready to find the bottom and then go into our bull run, right? But let's have a look at Bitcoin. On the monthly, I'm using Coinbase as my data source here. And can you see this green channel that we've got here? Where we're at right now with this price action is we're right at the support level. And one of the reasons why we've had a little bit of a time trying to break through and then break up out of this is if you look to the left, this has been a significant support level in the bull market when we came down for a Saturn retrograde. This was a Saturn retrograde. Saturn retrograde, we often get these big dumps and then trade sideways for a while before we go up. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then the other thing I wanted to point out just before we start looking at those dates is that we either have a cup and handle here, which has played out, or we could say we've actually got a bigger cup and handle. And then whenever we have a pattern established, we usually get a bit of a retracement before we break to the upside. So it's possible that we could retrace down to 28,200, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit higher. But it's also possible, and we'll talk to you about those black swan events that you were talking about, LIZA. It's also possible that we have a really big dump to the downside as well. Let me just turn that off. So let's talk about dates. What should we know about July then? Because we are at a time in the market where it's looking bullish. However, guys, remember, we do have a bearish divergence on the weekly. So to me, that's saying we've got a very, like a slightly higher high on the RSI from here, and it's lower on the actual price action. So that's divergence. So to me, that tells me we're not done with downward action for now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought maybe I could just touch on the 777 dates. There's 3 in July, but also talk about the universal month, which I didn't mention yet, which is even more significant when it comes to a possible dump. So starting off with the 777, so there's 3 dates in July that you may want to take note of.
Yeah, I'm
And
going to write them down here. Yep.
right. So, and I'll share what they mean, not just to take note of. So tomorrow's the 7th, right? Yeah. So the 7th, the 16th, and the 25th, those are all 777 dates. What I mean by that is the month, the day, and the year all have a 7 in it. Okay.
Wow.
And when you add up 7 3 times, that's actually 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. So what you're wanting to do when you're looking at those 777 dates is actually making sure that you have limits set, because it could be a highly unpredictable day. But what's even more unpredictable is the 14/5 universal month we're in. And what I mean by that is within the universal year, every month has a universal month. So the energy for July is actually a 14/5 month. How do we find that out? We add the universal year plus the current month. 7 and 7 is 14. But in numerology, we deduct to single digits. So 1 plus 4 gives you the 5. And 5 in numerology is a number of change, a number of movement. 14/5 is actually a karmic debt number, which has to do even more with expect the unexpected. So what that's telling me is, even though historically in the crypto world, July is usually a good month, what it's telling me is there might be a black swan event. And if that were to happen, don't be surprised if it happens on the 11th or the 22nd. And why I'm saying those dates in particular is if you look back at charts and you look back at trends and look at the 11th in particular, sometimes the 22nd, but definitely the 11th, there's usually a huge spike or a huge dump on that date. Not every month, but when you look back at black swan events. There was an exception on December 4th of 2021, I think it was, when we had that huge black swan event on that Saturday, December 4th, where it literally just crashed. And the reason why that happened is because 2021 was a 5-year, again, expect the unexpected with the 4 and 4. When you look at numbers together, 4s and 5s are not friends in numerology. 7 and 5s for this month are not friends. So you're having like the oil and water kind of combination going on.
Right.
So the 11th is a really important date to keep note of, 22nd as well. But if there were to be a black swan event, like I said, don't be surprised if it happens on the 11th. As far as the 777 dates go, that's also a really good time on the positive side, because I don't like to only focus on what bad can happen.
Yeah.
Is it a really good time to carve out time for yourself? Get out in nature, journal, meditate, relax, go to the beach, do something for you, because it's really going to encourage you to want to dive deep.
Yeah. Well, that all kind of like this is what I love about numerology and astrology, is it usually lines up with classical charting. Because if we have a look at the charts on the weekly, we saw a bearish divergence. On the daily, we still have a bearish divergence yet to play out, right? We've got down here on the RSI, we've got a lower high on the RSI, and we've got a higher high here. We have a bull flag that everybody's looking at going, we're going higher, we're going higher, we're going higher. But bull flags have an expiry date, right? If you're going to have a breakout, you want to see the bull flag break out around about here. And that would take us up to 34,833, example. However, once we start going sideways like this a little too long, that can turn into a Bart Simpson, and it looks like the head of Bart Simpson, and it is a sudden move, and it could literally happen any time now including tomorrow, right? But we've got a really nice support line coming in here on the handle for the cup and handle. So the question is going to be, how low will it go? Will it just come back, touch the support line at 6,100 is kind of like where I've got a cheeky buy order in, and I've got another one in at 28,275, something like that, because we might not go all the way down. But that, like, I love it how the dates line up with what's going on in the charts anyway, because everything's consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm. Out of curiosity, do you know when I know the new moon was on the 3rd. When is the full moon for this month?
Well, the full moon would be 14 days later, right? So 14, 15, 16 be on the 16th going into the 17th.
So that is one of the dates
right
for
there.
numerology. So that is definitely, I would asterisk that date. So the 16th and the 11th are extremely profound. Tomorrow as well, the 7th. I don't know when this video is going to go live, but just a FYI. When you're looking at the 14.5, I forgot to mention this. It's really important to also look at your own numbers, because it cannot just impact, right, the crypto market, but it can also impact your personal decisions. So being a really good headspace, calm and grounded when making decisions, especially when it comes to money. So that's just a little FYI, is to know your own personal numbers and how they may impact your decisions.
Yeah. And also, like talking about the moons, let's bring in the moon phases. For those of you who don't know or haven't been watching our channel on the moon phases, you get an indicator on your TradingView channel called moon phases. Literally, at the top it represents new moons, and at the bottom it represents full moons, and it shows price action usually has some kind of a reaction around those times. Usually with a full moon, we usually dump or retrace into the full moon and then pump out of it. So you can see right now we're still dumping, right? So somewhere along the line there's going to be a retracement out of it and a pump. And then a new moon, we usually are having some kind of a rally. We find the top and we reverse and then dump back down. So if you go back historically and you just go through new moon, pump and dump, 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 right? And then with the full moon, it's usually dump and then pump. Now, what I've discovered is that it's more to it than that, and that is, if we are in a downward market or a sideways market or an upward market, like a bear, what am I trying to say? Bear ball or sideways, the new moon and the full moon tend to react slightly differently. So you might not get big reactions. Whereas if we have a super moon, which is what we've just had, we can get bigger reactions. So we are right at that. Oopsie, what's going on here? TradingView, come on. We are right at that. There is something, it must be TradingView. I wonder what that is. Here we go. We're right at that point where we could see a turn, like a break of this support and come down and then get a full moon pump. And then you said the new moon, which was on the 17th, right? But you've got that date of the
3rd
16th.
and the 6th. Well, the 3rd was this last Tuesday. That was a new moon, right?
Yes.
And then we have the full moon coming up on the 16th. And I found that interesting. That's the same date as one of the key 777 dates for this month.
Yeah. It's the other way around. We've just, this is a full moon. We've just had
the full moon. We're having the new moon on the 16th. Sorry. Yeah. I'm obviously I'm more of a numerologist than an astrologer.
That's okay. No, that's okay. Yeah. So you can see here with the last new moon that we had, we pumped and we found the top, and then the day after we started sideways action, and then we've started coming down. So usually when we're in a transitioning market, it behaves slightly differently. and the energy could be the day before, the day of, or a few days after. But basically, have a look at 5 days around those dates where you start to see signs that something's happening. So I think how you can use it as an investor or a trader is to make sure that you are aware around these dates, or slightly before and slightly after, that if there's a big move in play, that you're ready, that that you are, if you're leveraged, you've got your stop losses in. If if you're hodling and you see that we could dump down, you might consider taking some profits out and then buying back in on the dip, those kind of things. I mean, obviously we always have to say we're not financial advisors, but those are the kind of things you want to be thinking about and researching and be aware of. Is there anything else that we should note for July? We've got,
those were the key dates I was looking at in numerology. Sometimes I like to look out 6 months in advance, because when I'm more of a DCA than a trader kind of person. So I like to plan ahead with like, what is my, strategy for the next 3 to 6 months. So for July, I would just say, yes, historically, it's a good month. It's a green month, but with that 14-5 energy, it's definitely caution for me as far as the numerology goes, that there are a handful of 777 dates. There are a handful of 14-5 dates, the 5, which is really screaming at me to say something could happen, like a black swan event this month. There are a couple more months through the end of the year where there are some pretty big dates I've marked down. And generally speaking, if it's not exactly on that date, it happens within a couple dates. It's kind of like the full and new moon energy. You don't just feel it on that date. You can feel it for a few days leading up.
yes,
and a few days after. The same with numerology. Some numerologists are very literal, just saying it's this date, but I come from the view that energy you can feel it leading up to that date and lead after. But what I also like to say, which is really, really important, just like in astrology, right? You want to know your own astrology chart to know how transits, eclipses, and everything are going to impact you personally. It's just as important to know your numerology, because our numbers really influence us on a very deep level. So if you're in, let's say, a cycle of like money, right? The 8 energy is one of those numbers. Then you might be feeling more pressure to create more wealth in the form of money in your life. So that can influence your decision. So knowing the cycles you're in and your numbers are just as important as knowing the actual cycles that are going on collectively. In this case, the 7 energy and the 14-5 energy.
Yeah. And I think that, like, let me show you this. This was when Teresa and I first started the channel, we started talking about Saturn retrograde. And whenever you get a Saturn retrograde, we usually get a dip, but Saturn retrograde is retarded speed, right? And if you look at, this is 2021, this was retarded speed, long period of time where we were trading sideways, came up, came back down a little bit, but we're slowly creating higher highs. And then we go up. But this was coming into a bull run, right? When we have a look at coming out of a bull run into a bear run, this was Saturn retrograde. It was almost conjuncting Neptune retrograde within a month. So we got this really gnarly dump. And that's an indication of what you were saying. Sometimes you start seeing the effects of the energy a little bit earlier. And when these two come together, it can be particularly gnarly. But Saturn retrograde is slow, retarded speed. And Saturn rules money, finances, financial institutions, and business, right? So you're going to see this coming sideways. So we know that at the moment we've got BlackRock that is and Fidelity, I think it is, applying for an EFT with Bitcoin, and everybody's expecting Bitcoin to just go crazy now. But that doesn't happen in a Saturn retrograde. We get this retarded speed, this slow action. And one more thing, is on the rainbow chart, you have to remember as we come up to the halving, there's usually a sudden dump. And then we know that that is either the bottom of the market or it creates a higher low, right? Here is they've changed this a little bit so that black box comes in. But if you have a look, if I take the mouse away, if you have a look at this halving right here, you'll see there's a sudden dump just before the halving, and then we start pumping. And down here as well, another sudden dump into the halving. So I'm not sure whether right now we're going to see that sudden dump, more like a retracement back to a key level of support, those levels I gave you before, and then just see more sideways action, because this is significant resistance to break through, and we need some more energy in the charts. And I don't think we're going to start seeing that energy till August, September, right?
Well, yeah, and the numerology is definitely showing something is kind of percolating behind the scenes, so to speak, where it's like, okay, that's why for this month in particular, I was like, whoa, this could be the month where something happens just based on the numbers.
Yeah.
But it could also be that this month is kind of setting up for the next few months, August, September, October, without getting into the details, October is a really, really critical month. But I'll share more, the months before that's more.
Speaking of that guys, if you really like to know these dates in advance so you can plan your trades, plan your investing, we would really love for you to support the channel and be part of our community by liking and then hitting subscribe. And if you really want Lisa to come back on a regular basis so we can preempt the month ahead with the dates, that would be awesome. And just to let you know that we do have a retreat coming up at our retreat center in Costa Rica called the Metaphysics of Crypto Trading and Investing. You can get the details for that below. And Lisa is going to be diving deeper into the numerology, so you can start learning all of this for yourself, as well as I'm going to be diving into technical analysis, strategies, astrology, how to apply astrology to your trading. We're going to be doing live scalping and live leverage trades for those who want to learn that, and a whole lot of other really cool personal development and spiritual development stuff, because we are the Conscious Crypto channel. Now, Lisa, how can people get hold of you and learn more about you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, and now I guess Threads, which is a new social media app, you can find me at Numerology Catalyst.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to put some links below there as well, too.
At Numerology Catalyst. You can find me on Facebook. I am taking very limited number of clients right now, one-on-one, but I do dive deep into your chart. And if you do want a forecast chart for your unique numbers, and just a general idea of the economy on a more collective level, I do that as well, so that you can plan, for your personal life, investments, what have you. So
and that's really valuable, because when I look at what coins I trade and I seem to have really good luck with, and there are others that I just bomb on. Like, I know quite a lot of people, especially some of the traders, the YouTubers and what have you, always have issues with Ethereum. It's like, man, trading Ethereum, she goes this way, that way, very contrary. And yet Ethereum is my best performer. And I think it's because numerologically and astrologically, maybe I'm aligned with that, right?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I remember on the crypto summit that I was on with you, you're a life path 6, and Ethereum is a 6, so it's
there
not.
There you
go. When you were saying that, and also Cardano, that's the other one that kind of matches your energy. So
I remember you saying
it's not that like you're doing it and it's just going to happen. It's knowing how on a subconscious level too you energetically align with the different letters and numbers and the assets, commodities, crypto, whatever you decide to invest in. So you can look at names, you can look at dates, you can look at cycles, but that will be more dive deep into the retreat. So
Yeah, absolutely. At the retreat, we are going to dive deep into that. So you've got a portfolio that is aligned to the stars and aligned to your greatest success. We've done it with a couple of people in my Crypto Ninjas membership group. If you're interested in joining that, you can go to the link below. You'll see that we also do free masterclasses. So you can, all that lovely information of other resources we've got to help you is down below. Please check that out. But we're diving deep in, and as well, a couple of weeks ago, there was a couple of members we're working with to rejiggy their portfolio to be in greater alignment. And within that day, their portfolio up went 5,000. And when we look at what it's going to be at the end of the bull run in 2025, they had increased their portfolio by 2.5 million just by realigning the coins and having a look at the portfolio, not being so ad hoc, being way more strategic, and getting that alignment. So that's really, really exciting stuff. So love for you to subscribe and join us. As I said, we're gearing up to start doing daily TA, as well as the mindset stuff that we do with Stefan and Teresa occasionally. So we'd love to have you subscribe so you get notification for all of that. And thanks so much, Lisa, for joining me. Is there anything else on your mind that you want to share just before we finish?
Good luck trading and investing. And when you notice that you're getting emotional, that is your opportunity to pause.
Yes.
To get out, get fresh air, because emotions are running high, especially right now with the state of the world.
Right. Oh, totally. 100%. And that's one thing that we're going to be doing at the retreat as well, is getting rid of emotional triggers so you can be far more balanced and poised and stable when you're making those trading decisions. So again, all the details of all the resources we have to help you for your journey is below. Please check it out, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, Lisa. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Nicola.
Bye.